We have come here tonight to feel the burn. When I say feel, you say burn. Feel. Feel. When I say feel, you say burn. Feel. Feel. All right now. We are at a critical moment in our nation's history. And the fact that Senator Bernie Sanders is answering the call to stand up for working class folks and middle class folks in this country to say enough is enough is enough is enough. That countless folks who are in the working poor who work 2 and 3 jobs at a time and they still can't make ends meet, enough is enough is enough. For young people who are saddled by debt in this country, Senator Sanders says enough is enough is enough. Too many Americans in this country are being deprived of health care. The senator says enough is enough is enough. And for the women in this country who are being deprived of their right to control their own bodies, Senator Sanders says enough is enough is enough. And ladies, can I just say this? We want our whole damn dollar. Enough is enough is enough. Or what about a justice system that is unjust to African Americans and our Hispanic brothers and sisters? Enough is enough is enough. You will not be surprised to know that Senator Sanders has a racial justice plan that affirms the value of people of color and wants to do away with the 4 types of violence that is waged against them: physical, political, legal, and economic. Enough is enough is enough. Senator Sanders is running this race. Him and Mrs. Sanders, they are running this race. Senator has 4 children and 7 grandchildren, and he wants them to inherit a world where they can live their greatest greatness. He is running this race for your children and your children and your children and my children. Enough is enough is enough. Senator Sanders wants everybody to be able to live their measure of the American dream. He is sick and tired of an economy that is rigged. Enough is enough is enough. Now I'm going to tell you something, folks. Senator Sanders can win this race. Don't listen to the pundits. He can and he will win this race. He will win this race. Because when I think about Senator Sanders, I think about a public servant for our time. He has been doing the work of the people his entire political career. He has been steady in his commitment to folks who live in this country. He is going to get it done. Senator Sanders lives on his principles. He is going to get it done. So if all of us put a little extra on our ordinary, extraordinary things will begin to happen in this country. I know it and I believe it, which is why I am feeling the burn. Now, we need you all to do some very important things. Each and every person in this room, you are a part of making the political revolution real. And we have to get out here and make sure that we register people to vote, that we are out there voting in great numbers, and we make it known that Senator Bernie Sanders will be the next president of these United States of America. He is a man of principle. And I applaud the senator for taking this on. So I want to leave you with three things. Number one, I believe that the creator of this great universe has given us two hands, one to reach forward and one to reach back, lifting as we climb. That we can't ask other folks to do more for us than we are willing to do for ourselves. And lastly, in the words of my grandmother, who was born in 1913, my grandmother could not read or write, but she could count her money. And she kept her money in the Southern Ladies Bank and Trust. When I asked my grandmother, what does it take to be successful in life? She said, my dear granddaughter, all you need are the three bones, the wishbone, the jawbone, and the backbone. She said the wishbone will keep you hoping and praying because hope is the motivator, but the dream is the driver. The reason why Senator Sanders is running this race is because he knows that the hopes and the dreams of everyday citizens are wrapped in his leadership to push this country forward for all folks. My grandmother said that the jawbone will give you courage to speak truth to power, or in the words of Dantes, the hottest places of hell are reserved for those who in times of great moral crisis choose neutrality. Sisters and brothers, we have a great moral crisis on our hands, and we cannot be neutral. We will not be neutral. And none of that means anything unless you have the supercalifragilisticexpialidocious bone, which is the backbone, because the backbone will keep us standing through all of our trials and our tribulations. And in this life, we will go through some stuff, but you cannot have a testimony without a test. We are being tested. So feeling the burn is like when you have a good workout and the burning sensation you feel is proof that you are getting stronger. That is what Senator Sanders is doing for our party, and that is what he is doing for this nation. He is making us stronger. He is making us stronger. And if you want a Democratic Party that is super fierce and ultra committed and brings justice and equality and brings us all together, young and seasoned, black, white, Hispanic, Native American, Asian, all of us together, we must work and get the vote out. We must feel the burn, Cleveland. Feel the burn, Ohio. Feel the burn, America. Feel the burn. Senator Sanders is the public servant for our time. So when I say feel, you say burn. Feel. Feel. When I say feel, you say burn. Feel. Feel. Burn. Without further ado, I bring you the man that is taking it to, who's shown up doing the thing, the Honorable Senator Bernie Sanders.
Campaign is going to send a message to the billionaire class. You can't have it all.
I'm running for president of the United States because we have 4 beautiful kids and 7 incredible grandchildren. And I want to make sure that the country we leave them is a nation that we are proud of. My mother was born and raised in New York City. She died at the age of 46. We had a 3.5-room rent-controlled apartment. At that very early age, I think I began to realize the impact that lack of finances have on families. My father came to this country from Poland at the age of 17, worked every day of his life. I grew up in Brooklyn. Many of the families were immigrants, and they understood the importance of education. We don't have a strong economy. unless we have a very well-educated workforce.
That is why I, as president, will fight to make tuition in public colleges and universities free, as well as substantially lower interest rates on student loans.
At the University of Chicago, I got involved in the civil rights movement. We ended up engaging in a sit-in demonstration. I believe that you're entitled to justice and to equal rights, whether you're black, whether you're Hispanic, whether you're gay, whether you're transgender. You are a human being. I went to Washington to demonstrate. We went out there on the mall. It was an extraordinary speech. I had the feeling that I was, at that particular moment, part of history. I ended up winning my first election as mayor of Burlington by 10 votes after a recount in an election that nobody thought we could win. I met Jane just about the time of the election. We have been together for 27 years.
As president, I will defend this nation, but I will do it responsibly. As a member of Congress, I voted against the war in Iraq, and that was the right vote.
I had serious doubts about what Bush and Cheney were telling us. And if you overthrew Saddam Hussein, you could bring a massive amount of instability into that region, and that it would not be quite as easy as people like Donald Rumsfeld and others were telling us. We have got to, as a moral responsibility, provide the best quality health care to men and women who put their lives on the line to defend us. John McCain and I put $5 billion into strengthening the VA so that any veteran who walks into a VA facility will get quality care in a timely manner. That was one of the major pieces of legislation passed in the last congressional session. I don't want to see people not go to the doctor when they're sick because they can't afford to pay the doctor's fees.
The United States must join the rest of the industrialized world and guarantee health care to all as a right.
Nothing is closer to my heart as someone who has kids besides the issue of global warming.
There is nothing more important than leaving this country and our entire planet habitable for our kids and our grandchildren. Climate change is real. It is caused by human activity, and we have a small window of opportunity to transform our energy system, cut carbon emission, and move in a very different direction. This campaign is about putting Americans back to work at decent paying jobs. Let's get started. Let's put $1 trillion over a 5-year period. Let's create and maintain 13 million jobs. Let's make our infrastructure stronger, safer, more efficient.
We must establish pay equity for women workers.
Bottom line is that if somebody works in this country for 40 hours a week, that person should not be living in poverty.
The issue of wealth and income inequality is the great moral issue of our time. It is the great economic issue of our time. It is the great political issue of our time. This type of rigged economy is not what America is supposed to be about. This has got to change. And as your president, together, we are going to change it.
I will be working hard to overturn Citizens United. That is the undermining of American democracy and the qualities of this country which have made us the envy of the entire world. Today in America, we have enormous problems. They are solvable problems. This country belongs to all of us. We want to make policy that improves the lives of all of our people. That's how we transform America.
Let me touch on an issue for a moment, which is a difficult issue. It is a sensitive issue. It is a painful issue. And that is racial justice in America. Now, in my view, as a nation, we have a great deal to be proud of in terms of becoming a less discriminatory society. That's true. We have come a long, long way in the last 50
or 60 years. If we were here 40 years ago and somebody said, you know, I think that in 2008, the United States will have gone far enough in overcoming racism that it will elect a candidate for president based on his ideas and not the color of his skin, very few people would have thought 40 years ago that that would have been possible, but it happened. And the issue here is not whether you like Barack Obama or not. He's a friend of mine. I like him. But that's not the point. The point is that as a nation, we have become mature enough to vote for candidates based on what they stand for rather than their race. And that is a huge step forward for our country. We should be proud of that. But when we talk about making our country the kind of nation we want it to be, we all understand that we still have a very long way to go in combating institutional racism. And all of you know, sadly, that racism is alive and well in America. And I'm not just talking about that very, very sick person in Charleston, South Carolina, a couple of months ago, who walked into a Bible prayer session, prayed with people in the room, and then because they were black, he took out his gun and killed 9 of them. That is hard to even understand what goes on in a sick mind that does that. And I'm not just talking about the hundreds of groups in this country, organizations, whose sole function for existence is to propagate hatred. These are hate groups. These are groups whose sole reason for existence is to hate blacks and gays and immigrants and Jews and Catholics, anybody who is different than them. I am also talking, when I talk about institutional racism, I am also talking about people like Sandra Bland and Michael Brown and Rekia Boyd and Eric Gardner. I am talking about unarmed African Americans who were killed while in police custody. And let me say this. I was a mayor for 8 years. And in that capacity, I had the privilege of working with the men and women in our police department. What I want to tell you is that the vast majority of police officers in this country are honest and work hard. And if anybody thinks that being a cop today is an easy job, you would be sorely mistaken. And by the way, many police officers, depending on their departments, they're underpaid, they're undertrained, they have crazy schedules, make their personal and family lives difficult. That's a reality. But let us also be clear that like any other public official, when a police officer breaks the law, that officer must be held accountable. Now, when we have more people in jail than any other country on earth, we understand that we have a broken criminal justice system, which needs major, major reforms. What are some of the things, very briefly, that we have to do? What we have to do, in my view, is end the heavy militarization of many police departments. The best police departments in America are those departments
where the police are part of the community, where people know the police officers, feel confident in telling them about the crack house down the street or this person doing that. We need to also make our police departments look like the diversity of the communities they serve. We need, and will introduce legislation on this, to end the absurdity of private corporations making profits by running jails. We need to rethink the war on drugs. I find it remarkable that young people can get a criminal record for smoking marijuana, but the CEOs on Wall Street have never been prosecuted. We need to understand that drugs and alcohol abuse and people's dependence on drugs and alcohol is a disease, not a crime. Which means we need to invest in drug courts and medical and mental health intervention rather than more and more incarceration. And also, very significantly, we need to develop a pathway out of prison back into civil society. If somebody spends time in prison and they come out of jail without education, without a job, without money, without housing, we should not be shocked that they will fall back into the same environment that got them into jail in the first place.
Say that proudly. I repeat, I am from Atlanta, Georgia, and I say that proudly. If you're from Atlanta, Georgia, you may be familiar with a young man who grew up not far from here. His name was Martin King. Now I know this is the part where usually it's a black minister in front of you, and usually you get all warm and cozy inside, and usually you hear about I have a dream and us holding hands and going for ice cream. That's not why I'm here today. I'm not here to talk about benevolent politicians that are going to come and save the day for you. I'm not here to talk about a dream that we think is unattainable, so we settle for less. I'm not here to talk about a utopian society where everyone is forgiven and no one has to pay for past debts. What I'm talking about today is the Martin King post the Washington March. Martin King present the war on poverty. Martin King against the war machine that uses your sons and your nephews to go to other lands and murder. I'm talking about a revolutionary. I have no time in my short 40 years on this earth to relive the Reagan years. I have no time. I have no desire to see us elect our own Margaret Thatcher. I am here as a proponent for a political revolution that says health care is a right of every citizen. I'm here because working class and poor people deserve a chance at economic freedom. And yes, if you work 40 hours a week, you should not be in poverty. That's why I'm here. I didn't come here to lollygag because I rap. This could be y'all last time seeing me because I got tours to go on, I got jets to fly on, and I ain't lying on. But while I'm here, I have to tell you that in my heart of hearts, I truly believe that Senator Bernie Sanders is the right man to lead this country. And I believe it because he, unlike any other candidate, said, I would like to restore the Voting Rights Act. He, unlike any other candidate, said, I wish to end this illegal war on drugs that disproportionately targets minorities and poor. Unlike any other candidate in my life, he says that education should be free for every citizen of this country. Now I only have a few minutes, but as I read the Atlanta Journal-Constitution's comments about me speaking tonight, one jumped out at me and it broke my heart. It says, I don't listen to rap and I'll no longer be listening to Bernie Sanders. And I just want to say that whoever wrote that, before I was a rapper, I was a son of Atlanta. Before I ever wrote one rhyming word on paper, before that, I was a black man in America. And before I ever learned how to dance a jig, I gave a damn about American politics. I gave a damn about the people of America, and I took to the streets and I advocated. So, I know I'm preaching to the choir tonight. I know there are not a lot of voices of dissension out there. I know I'm preaching to the choir, but I'm here to tell you, stay encouraged, stay invigorated, stay bold, stay confronting bullshit at every turn. Make sure that wherever you go, you take the name, the ideas, the philosophy, and the ideology of Bernie Sanders there, and you make sure when you leave, they are on fire because they have felt the burn. I have a line from one of my raps, and I'm going to get out of your way. I have said in many a rap, I don't trust the church or the government, a Democrat, Republican, a pope or a bishop or those other men. But after spending 5 hours tonight, after spending 5 hours with someone who has spent the last 50 years radically fighting for your rights and mine, I can tell you that I am very proud tonight to announce the next president of the United States, Senator Bernie Sanders. Everyone give him a round of applause.
by race, by sexual orientation, by gender, by not allowing them to divide us up by whether or not we were born in America or whether we're immigrants. We stand together, white, black, Hispanic, gay, straight, woman, and man, when we stand together and demand that this country works for all of us rather than the few.